Well,
that was
I
old
like,
to say.
I like that.
I know you like to see. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, and there's Jeanette. I see
Hey,
Jeanette.
ladies. Good to see you, beautiful faces.
Hello.
Good to see
Hello.
you, Jeanette.
New faces. Look at this
No, I
thing.
can't see you, Jeanette. I
There's
can't.
Gail.
You can't see me, Teresa?
I can't. No, I can. I
I
can
see
only see
you.
Miss B right now. You see me?
I see
Yes, I
you.
do.
We see
Okay,
you.
then I must be doing something wrong then.
You
I
probably
see
don't
Angel.
have your video on.
No, I got it on because you can see me,
No,
right?
because
Oh, yeah.
So you can see me, but I can't
Okay,
see
so
anybody
we've
else.
got, okay, so Angel, do you see anybody? Has anybody signed on to Facebook?
let me see.
Let me see. No. Hold on. I'm gonna put everyone on the Facebook and let them know the code for this again so that they have it.
Okay. Okay, I'm on Facebook. I don't see. All right, I see Teresa, Jeanette, Carmen. Okay.
As, um,
It is what, 7:03? Because we're waiting. Y'all know this is all new for some of these ladies on Zoom. So we're gonna wait a few minutes so that they can all get on. Angel, okay.
I'm gonna write a message right now for the meeting. Meetings ID 838.
All right. I'm on my Facebook page. Let's see. There we go. Oh.
Okay, I just posted a message from your Facebook letting everyone know the link to get into the Zoom, the meeting ID, and the passcode.
Okay, I see Annette has
So if
come
they go to
on.
your Facebook, they're gonna be able to see it.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm on there, but okay. Okay, so I see Annette is on. I see Carmen, Teresa, Jeanette. Okay, we'll wait a few minutes for a few other ladies. How did y'all enjoy the homework?
I enjoyed it.
I
It was
enjoyed
good.
it.
I did too.
It was good.
It was good.
And as you went back and did that, there were a few things that I didn't see when I read it the first time. So
I
I
don't know.
truly,
I was busy writing.
huh?
I was busy writing.
Oh,
Right.
you, but it's in your journal, right?
Oh, it's
It's
in
in
my
your
journal. Yes,
journal.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's the good thing. That's the good thing. It's in your journal. Lachey has come on. I don't see her. I don't know if she's but she just signed on. Okay.
There we go.
There she is.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh,
Hi, Lachey.
hello. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello.
I see
Ruby just logged in.
Ruby just logged in.
Ruby, turn your camera on. Annette, you got your
And
camera on?
Huh?
You got your camera on, Annette?
Wait a minute. Let me check.
I don't see your face in that.
Okay, let's see.
Okay. Ruby,
There
I
you
don't
go.
see Ruby. Where's
Hey,
Ruby?
Annette.
And just logged on.
Where's Ruby?
There's Ruby. Hey, Ruby.
Hi.
Oh, okay, maybe I need to do this. Okay, got it. Okay, I see Annette, I see Ruby. Okay, Oh, there is Georgina.
Georgiana.
Okay.
See everybody.
All right, I see. All right, so that's what happens. It doesn't, okay, got it. I'm somehow,
Oh, I
Angel,
see
I thought it would,
everyone.
it doesn't allow me to see everybody at one time. What am I doing?
Hit your little squares.
Yeah.
And you have some little blocks. Hit those and it'll help you to see. I'm sorry, let me take the toothpick out of my mouth. It'll help you to see everybody.
Okay,
Yes, you do.
all right, there, okay, yeah, I did that, but let's see. Gallery. Okay, there's my gallery. I have to do gallery. And I get to see everybody if I put it on.
Everybody. Okay, good, good.
All right,
Maybe
well,
that's
I
what
think we
Teresa
have
needs to do
enough.
too.
Yeah, Marcia is on Facebook. Yeah, so we'll have to bring Marcia on board Marcia, a lot of the ladies have rotated to Zoom. And it's only because I want participation and I want to be able to, I want people to make comments and things like that. And I know with Facebook, we were having to type. And sometimes there's a delay whenever you have to type. And so I just wanted to feel everybody. I want us to feel like we're in church. All right. I know it's the internet, but and I love seeing you all. I really do. I don't want to be the spotlight every time. I want to be able to feel you all and see you all and take your comments. And that's important for me because there are a lot of things that I miss, I don't see. And so I would like for you all to just kind of help me. All right, so we got a really, really good lesson. I'm excited about it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's do that. All right, we'll go ahead and I'll pray and we'll get started. So Father, I thank you tonight again as we endeavor to know more about you. We open up the pages of the holy book. Isaiah said it, and we truly believe it, that the grass will wither and the flower will fade, but the word of our God will stand forever. I so remind myself of that, especially during this time when there are flowers and everywhere at the stores. I look at them and say, you will one day fade, but the word of our God stands forever. So tonight, God, we come to stand on what stands forever. And as we pursue the life, the love and the redemption story and the life story of Ruth, I pray, God, that it will help us to become better women. Our goal is to become better. We don't want to be bitter. We saw that in the life of Naomi, who came out of Moab and said, my name is bitter. We want to be better women so that we can be better for other people. So as we go through the pages of this book tonight, open up our eyes of understanding so that we may be enlightened to know what is the hope of your calling. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. So our goal tonight is to be better and not bitter, because we saw Naomi coming out of Moab saying that she was bitter. All right. So you had some homework, and I hope you all got a chance to do your homework. And your homework was to go through the 4 chapters of the book of Ruth. And every time Ruth made a statement, you were to write that out. So your journals should look something like this. And for me, it was fun. It was fun. I see Annette looking. It was to look something like this. For me, it was so much fun because I like to write, and I think sometimes when we go into our Bibles, it's work. It is work, and that's what Paul told Timothy. He said, "Study to show yourself approved unto God. You would be a workman that need not be ashamed." So it was some work to write out all of these scriptures, but I found so much in writing out these scriptures. So to get started, because we're going to be gleaning tonight, I want us to go to Leviticus chapter number 19. We're going to start there. Leviticus 19, and we're going to look at verses 9 and 10 only. Nikki Lottie says, hey, y'all, I'm trying to get on Zoom. All right, so Nikki Lottie needs some help getting on Zoom. Nikki Lottie, if you will look at your phone, I gave the ID, the password and the ID. So if you'll try, and Sue Ferguson is on. I don't know if she has Zoom, but I'm going to leave Facebook open for those who are still trying to get on Zoom.
And Miss B, if they get on their phone, only thing they have to do, I have the app downloaded on my phone. And once you do that, you just put that meeting ID in and the passcode and it'll bring you up.
Okay, so
Right.
Legna, you put the meeting ID back out there. I don't know that they have the meeting ID, so we will need to
I'll
give
post it
those
again.
ladies the meeting ID. So Angel, if you can do that for me, I would really appreciate it. Because right now they're on, I opened up my Facebook page and they're on there. So I don't know what you're seeing on your end, Angel, for Facebook.
I'm gonna send them again, the same Zoom
Okay.
information.
Okay, so let's go ahead and turn to Leviticus chapter number 19. I haven't gotten there yet. And we're going to look at verses 9 to 10. All right, this will help us understand what Ruth is doing in the field. Because whenever we see God's people doing something, there is always an explanation behind that. I'm reading from the King James Version when I get there, and it says, "And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt wholly reap the corners of the field." What he's saying is, when you reap the land, wholly reap the corners. Don't take everything out of the corners. It says, "Neither shall thou gather the gleaning of thy harvest." Verse 10, "And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God." Now, what is he saying in this? He's saying, when you go to reap your field, leave some for the poor. Leave them some for the poor. Have some social assistance. Make sure you're socially assisting other people. Leave some for the poor. This is the Levitical provision for the poor. And what Moses is saying is, you can glean your vineyards, but don't gather every grape. Leave some grapes for the poor.
Hey. Hi. Hi.
Oh, there's Marcia. She got on. Okay, so Marcia is on. So Nikki Lottie is still trying to get on. So let's get her on. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all the angel is going to be monitoring this Zoom as we come in. So if we feel like we hear your television or some noise in the background, she is going to monitor to that, because what the goal is to see you, but I don't want to hear you unless you're saying something. I don't want to hear the background noises out of your homes. Okay. I think Pat is on, but she doesn't have her camera. So if you're going to come on, I'm going to ask you to please, if you would like to show your face, because then I feel like we're in a group setting, we're in a gathering, and I'm already feeling good about this because I see everybody. Okay. I want to, and I'm feeling really good about this. So y'all I know some of you say, I don't want to show my face. If you drag over your head, I'm going to leave it at that. All right. So what Moses is saying, there's a Levitical law that says you are to leave some for the poor. And what the poor comes behind you and do is they glean what you have left. And that's what we see Ruth doing in this field. We see Ruth gleaning in the fields. She's getting that which is poor. Because remember now, Naomi and Ruth have just come out of Moab, and their husbands are dead. And so they're having a hard time here. Remember now, Naomi's going to sell her land, but they're having some hard times and they're poor. That's why Naomi makes the statement, "I went in full, but I came out empty." So she is feeling a little empty. And this is the Levitical law, that you will leave some as you glean for the poor. All right. So now let's jump into the life of this woman named Ruth, because what we were supposed to do is go through, and every statement that Ruth makes, we were to write it down. we know a little bit about Ruth, but I think when we were able to write some of the things that she said, we could find out a little bit more about her. Let's just talk about what we know about Ruth thus far. We know that Ruth is a Gentile. She's a Moabite, all right? She is a Moabite woman, and she came out of Moab, and she's now in Bethlehem with her mother-in-law. So we know that this is a Moabite woman. We have seen a lot of Gentile women. We've studied Tamar, who was a Gentile, remember? And we studied the life of Rahab, and Rahab was a Gentile woman. And now we're dealing with Ruth, who is another Gentile woman, and we see God working in the lives of these Gentile women. She's a foreigner to the things of God, but you wouldn't think she is, because when we look at her life, um, we see her talking covenant language. Where you go, I'll go. Your God will be my God. Your people. That's covenant talk. So we see her with her covenant language. We know. So it sounds like, even though Ruth has never read a Bible, sounds like she's seen one. And I think she's seen a Bible in the life of Naomi. Isn't it amazing that you can look at the life of a woman and see God? And so that's what we see with Ruth as we see her talking. We see, we know she sees grace, because she says she found grace in the eyes of Boaz. We know she follows. She's a woman who follows, because she's following another woman out of Moab into Bethlehem. We know she's a working woman, okay? And she was not a woman that had to be told to go to work. We know that she's a woman who recommended herself for a job. We see her ask for favor. We see her praying. There's a portion of scripture where she says, I pray. We see that she knows the Lord. Remember, she calls Boaz Lord. And the thing that I see special about Ruth is that she sees God in people, and she's responding to what she sees in people. She sees God in people. And we know that she's the gleaner of the field. We see her going out to pick up what is left over. So when we look at the life of this woman, her whole life points towards salvation. Her whole life is pointing towards salvation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at some of the statements. We're going to start with chapter number 1, and we're going to look at some of the statements, the talk that Ruth is making. So I'm going to turn to Ruth chapter number 1, and I only found one statement. If you found another one, let me know. But in Ruth chapter number 1, the first time I see her speak is in verse 16. Is that true? Verse 16 is the first time that I see her talk. Does anybody see anything prior to that? She speaks in verse 16. Now watch what she says in verse 16. And she's talking to her mother-in-law, all right? Well, let's just start at verse 14, because that puts her statement in context. It says, after she tells her two daughter-in-laws to go back. Y'all know Oprah's name was supposed to be Orpha. Her mother was naming her after Orpha in the Bible, but the P was put in the wrong place, and so she ended up with Oprah. So, but her mother named her after Orpah in the Bible, in this story. And verse 14 says, and that's where we'll be reading from, and they lifted up their voices, both Naomi, both Ruth and Orpah. They lifted up their voices and they wept again. And Orpah, I'm having a hard time with that. I want to say Oprah, but it's Orpah. Kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is going back into her people and her gods. Notice what she's going back to. She is going back to her people and her gods. And we know that her people were a people who, when we looked at them in Judges, they were a people who did right in their own eyes. Y'all remember that? In the book of Judges, it says that every man did that which was right in his own eyes. And she's going back to that. That's what Ophrah is going back to. And not only is she going back to the people that did right in their own eyes, she's going back to false gods. All right. Remember now that the Moabs were people of incest. There was a lot going on incestually in the incest portion of their lives, and that is what Oprah is going back to. Now Ruth chooses not to go back to that, because when we look, she says, and she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back to her people and her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And this is when Ruth says what she says. She says, entreat me. In other words, she is saying earnestly, she's asking earnestly, and doing, and a portion of scripture says she's pleading and she's begging Naomi, please don't ask me again to go back. She says, entreat me not to lead thee, nor to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where you lodge, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. And the Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee. I'm just looking at Facebook to see, okay. Part thee. So we see now that Ruth is willing to follow Naomi. And remember, I told you that every statement that Ruth makes, it points towards salvation. Because the very first thing that we have to do when we accept Christ in our lives, what is that number one thing we have to do after we accept him? We have to follow. We have to follow him. That's what we find the disciples doing. If you'll turn to Matthew, we're going to turn to Matthew chapter number 4. And notice now, Ruth is going to leave everything. She's going to leave her, at this point, the only thing that she's leaving is her gods and her people. All right. So we see that that is a sign that points to salvation, because when we get to Matthew chapter number 4, run over there, Matthew 4, we see Jesus as he is going by the seaside, and he's walking by the Sea of Galilee. Look at Matthew 4, and we're going to look at verse 18. And it says, and Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said unto them, follow me. See, this is Ruth's first sign of salvation. She's willing to follow. Jesus says to the disciples, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And watch what the Bible says. They don't even think about it. They have the same mindset that Ruth has. Look what it says. And it says, and straightway they left their nets and followed him. And going from thence, he saw two more brothers, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, in a ship with Zebedee, their father. They were mending their nets, and he called them. Notice, straightway, Peter and Simon followed, but watch what James and John. And they immediately left the ship. Not only did they leave the ship, y'all, look who else they left. They left their father in the ship and followed him. They dropped their nets and left the ship, that was their source of income. That's how they made their money. But they left the ship and they followed him. This is what Naomi is doing. This is the way that Naomi is following Ruth. She is willing to leave her people and she is willing to leave her gods. And she says, your people will be my people and your God will be my. She left everything. And so that's what we have to do sometimes when we follow Jesus. We have to leave. There's some things that we have to leave. Now, he's not asking us to leave our mother and our father, but there are some things that we are involved in that God is saying, if you're going to follow me, you're going to have to leave that. You're going to have to leave that. There are some things that we're going to have to drop and leave. And we see this is the first sign that this girl wants salvation. This is a story of love and it's a story of redemption. She is being redeemed. And when God redeems us, he saves us. And so there are some things that we are going to have to put down in order to follow Jesus. James and John left their father in the boat. There was something you had to leave and say, I'm not going to ever do that anymore in order to follow Jesus. Naomi's life points towards salvation. Where you go, I will go. That's covenant talk. Where you live, I will live. That's how we're supposed to talk with God. Wherever God is, that's where we want to be. Whatever God does, that's what we want to do. Whoever is God's people, that's who we want to be around. See, when people tell me that they're Christian and they don't like hanging around people, I'm like, you can't tell me you're a Christian and you don't want to be around people. Now, I can understand not wanting to be around people of the world because we're a little bit different, but even at that, you should still want to be around people. I mean, you can't just say I love God and not love people. That doesn't go together. And all this, I don't want to be around people and I don't like hanging around people. No. Not if you got the Spirit of God. I just, for Bible study, saw my neighbors out burning trash. And I know my neighbors drink. They like to sit around in a circle and they like to drink. So when I walked over, they said, hey, B, you want to have a drink? Nope, I don't drink. So I said, I tell you what you do, because I don't drink. If you invite me to a glass of lemonade, I can hang out with you. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to act like I don't want to be in my neighbors' lives. Y'all, these people live right next door to me. If my house was on fire, I need my neighbor to call me and tell me my house is on fire. So I don't get the Christian that don't want to talk to their neighbors, that don't want to be around people. I don't get that. Because the very first thing that God does is he tells us to follow him. And there are other people that are following him and you should want to be around them. That's why he said, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together. And what Naomi and Ruth are building right now is community. Because when they come into Bethlehem, people are going to see them. And so Naomi is building a community with her mother-in-law. She says, where you go, I'm going. Your people go. She says, your people. She even says to Naomi, your people gonna be my people. So that means if you're following me and I'm around Christians, then my people should be your people. And that's what she's telling her. So that is the community. That is the salvation walk that these two women are going to take together. She says, your people are going to be my people, and nothing but death will part me from thee. The only way that I'm going to be separated from you is death. And that's how we should feel about each other. We should long to be with each other. We should. It's our fellowship that we should long for, and in the midst of our fellowship we should have word. Now I see a lot of people come together as Christians and all they do is eat. They just eat and talk and eat. You never see a Bible pop out. They just eating and talking. That is fellowing in the ship. That's what I call that. That is the fellowing in the ship. If we gonna come together in this Bible study, I need to see your Bible. I mean, if you can't believe everything I say. So when we come together, You need to have that's why I tell you, you get your Bibles, you get your highlighters and all, because we're not just talking, y'all. We are studying to show ourselves approved under God. We're trying to see, we're trying to find Jesus in these stories. And in order to do that, we got to go line upon line and precept. We got to find Jesus in the story of Ruth. And so now we see him as Ruth is following her mother-in-law and denying herself. She is denying herself, denying her lifestyle and taking up this cross and following, because you heard Naomi. She was talking like she was bearing a cross. This girl was mad at God. When she gets into Bethlehem, they said, "Isn't that Naomi?" And she tells the people, "Don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me Mara, because I'm bitter." And I made a note. I said, even when Mara was talking, Naomi kept walking. Even when Mara was talking, Naomi continued to walk with this woman who was complaining. She walked, and doesn't God do that? Doesn't he walk with us even when we're complaining about life and our situations and what we're doing and what we're going through? She's an example, she's a type, she's a foreshadow of Christ, who continues to walk with this woman who says, "I am empty." She felt like she had nothing in her, and then she was blaming God for her situation. So that portion there, we see her following after her mother-in-law, just as the disciples followed after Jesus and they denied themselves and took up the cross. That's what Jesus tells us to do. He tells us to deny ourselves, take up the cross, and follow him. That's what he tells us. I don't know, my Zoom page just kind of did something crazy here. So do y'all see that? Did it do that with you all? I don't know what happened with my Zoom page, but I won't pay that. I'll just go ahead. I don't know what happened. Uh-oh. I just went out. I'm back on. I'm not gonna bother that. Something happened with my Zoom page. Angel, can you see? I'm
I
not sure.
see you.
You all can still see?
I see you.
Okay. I'm gonna hit this button. I
For
don't
some
know.
reason, I can't see either.
You can't?
I can't. No, mine did the same thing yours did, Miss B, at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know what
I can
happened
see
then.
you, but I can't see nothing else.
I see somebody's Zoom screen. That's what's
What's that?
showing. But I see you as
I'm on the
well.
screen. Yeah, I don't know what
Okay.
happened either.
Okay, you don't
Okay,
know.
it's back on now. I
Okay,
see
Really?
everybody.
Maybe I need to go out
I'm
and come
trying to
back
work on
in.
it.
Okay.
okay, Angel says she's working on it.
Okay.
Let's let her work on it.
Yeah.
All right, because y'all know we're gonna have a few hiccups as we try to. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Let me click out of that. Okay, all right. So I'll continue to teach now. So that's the first statement that we see her making. All right. So now in chapter number 2, in chapter number 2,
My goodness.
in chapter number 2, we see her saying to Boaz, in verse 10, that's where I'm at. No. In chapter number 2, she speaks in verse 7. And watch what she says in verse 7. She says, "I pray you." Now listen, look at the language she's using in chapter number 2. She says, "I pray you, let me glean and gather the reapers among the sheaves." So what is she? She's asking for work. She is asking for work. So that tells us that not only is she a follower, but she's a worker. Okay, I'm getting something here. Not sure what I'm getting. Let's go
Yeah, I
back.
was able to see a few people.
Okay, I'm back.
You back all the way?
I'm back all the way.
You guys see Miss B?
Yeah, I see it. Miss B.
Yes, ma'am.
Ruth also speaks in verse 2 of chapter 2.
Right.
Verse 2.
Verse 2 of chapter 2.
Yeah, I got that one too, Jeanette.
Oh, yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you. I skipped over that one. All right, now watch what she says in verse 2 of chapter 2. And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, that's it, right? That's it. I was looking for that. Let me now go to the field. See, it was her idea to work. This was a worker. She's following and now she's working. She's wanting to work. Look at how she's painting a portrait of Jesus who follows after his father and his disciples follow after him. And now he calls us to work. And now she wants to work. All right. So watch what she says. She says, let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him in whose sight I shall find grace. Look at what she's doing. She says she wants to go to the field. And when she gets to the field, she's going to glean ears of corn. But look at, she says, I'm going to glean the ears of corn, but I'm going to glean them after him. So she has already spotted Boaz. She has already got her eyes on Boaz. So it's almost like Ruth is making the first, what do you call it? The first call here. She says, in him, in whose sight I shall. She says, I'm going to find grace in his sight. You see that? So she now wants to go to work. And she says, I'm going to glean and I'm going to find grace. And watch what her mother-in-law says. And she said unto her, go, my daughter. So number one, she's following. Number two, she is working. She is gleaning in the field. And number four, she is finding. Number three, she's finding. She's going to find grace. She's going to find grace. Ruth has already found grace before, so she knows what it looks like. She found grace in Naomi, and now she is looking for it again in Boaz. So she's good at finding grace. And I love that because the Bible says that Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. So she knows how to look for grace. Let's go over there to Genesis chapter number 6, verse 8. Are y'all still with me? Are y'all with me?
Yes,
Yes.
everything's
I'll
back
go
to
with
normal.
Yes.
Okay, everything's back. Go to Genesis chapter number 6. Because notice now, she can follow, she can work, and she can find. All right. Those are the characteristics we're seeing in her thus far. Go to Genesis chapter number 6, verse 8. Genesis 6 and 8. And it says, but Noah found grace. Sometimes you got to find grace. All right. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And how do you find grace? You find grace by looking away from what is really taking place and you go to what's happening with biblically so. So when Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, there was a lot taking place that could have caught his attention. Because right before, if you look at verse 5 of Genesis chapter number 6, watch what happens, but Noah doesn't pay that any attention. Watch what's happening. It says in verse 5, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Look at what's happening before Noah looked somewhere else. And it repented the Lord, verse 6 said, that he had made man of the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Verse 7 says, and the Lord said, I will destroy man who I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things and the fowls of the air. For it repented me that I made them. So here is God repenting that he had made man. And then look what Noah does. Noah does not look at all the wicked stuff that is happening in the earth. Look at what he does. He looks and he finds grace in the eyes of the Lord. So even during tough times when the world looked like it's flipped upside down, you got to find you some grace. Okay, and that's why we have to run to the scriptures. We run to the scriptures because we are trying to find grace. And so when you look here, it says right before Naomi makes this statement in verse 2, we will see that the kinsman redeemer, it says in verse 1, and let's go to chapter number 2, verse 1. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a mighty man of wealth of the family of Elimelech, and the man named was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, even though all of this stuff is going on with the barley harvest, because if you'll go, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to verse 22 of chapter number 1, which will bleed into chapter number 2. It says in verse 22 of chapter number 1, and Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. See, they just got out of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of barley harvest. So now they just left where there was no food, and now there is food. And so instead of looking at what's happening in Bethlehem, Naomi starts to look into the eyes of a man. She doesn't look into the eyes of the situation. She looks into the eyes of a man to find grace. She does what Noah does. Noah doesn't look at the people and how they are wicked. He looks into the eyes of God. And that helps us in times like these. We can't look at what's going on in this world, y'all. There is a lot going on. There are laws that are changing every day. And we can't look at that. We've got to look into the eyes of God so that we can find grace in this time of need. And that's what we see Naomi doing. Naomi now is in the field working, but her eyes, she's looking for grace. She's found it in Naomi's eyes. Ruth has found grace in Naomi's eyes. Now she looks for it and she's finding it in the eyes of Boaz. And so that's another statement I have that she made. She says, let me now go to the field. So the next statement I found that she made was in verse 7. Did anybody find anything before verse 7? Anybody found anything before verse 7? No? Okay. Are y'all still here? Because
We
my
here.
computer did something different and okay,
Yes.
let me do this right quick.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, y'all can hear. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
we're here.
All right, let me get back here. All right, now watch what she says. So at this point, we know that she's good at following, she's good at working, and she's good at finding. So this girl has really put she's in salvation mode. She is in salvation mode. Now watch what happens in verse 7. And she said, I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. And so that part of my Bible is torn. So I'm going to need somebody else to read the rest of that. My Bible, I tore my Bible and I need to get another one right quick so I can read the rest of that for me, Jeanette. Jeanette, are
So
you
we're
there?
on verse 7. I couldn't find
Yeah, read
my,
verse 7 for me.
okay, I don't have my King James version, but can y'all, hold on. I'm hearing feedback.
Okay, yeah, we're getting some feedback.
Is that me?
Okay, yeah, I got it in my notes here, Jeanette. Let me read it from my notes because I hear some feedback from you.
Yeah.
She says, I pray, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. And then it says, among this, and she came. Oh, what did I put? And she came. Oh, I didn't write it because I didn't have it in my Bible. I didn't write it in my no. So
Yeah, I can read it for
she
you.
came.
I could read it for you.
Okay, somebody read that for me.
So she
It says, and she said, okay, so it says, and she said, I pray you let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and hath continued even from the morning until now, and she tarried a little in the house.
Okay. Okay, got it. Okay, so that's verse 7. All right, so she says, I pray, let me glean after the reapers, and she came. And so it says she works from the evening. So not only does she work, what does this show us? Oh, I'm gonna have to get my phone. What does that show us about her?
Praying woman,
She
that she's
pray.
also praying.
She pray.
That she's a praying woman. All right. So we see now she's following, she's finding, she's praying. She is doing all of these, she's doing all the things that we have to do to maintain our salvation. You see that? She is doing everything that we have to do to maintain. And that was attractive in the eyes of God. That was very attractive in the eyes of God. Now, watch. Now she prays, right? So we say she prays. Now watch what she does in verse 10. Look at verse 10, because that's where she speaks again. Verse 10 says, then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground. What is that called?
Position.
Worshiping.
Positioning.
That's worship. That's worship. Now she is worshiping. It says, then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou should take knowledge of me, seeing that I am a stranger? She calls herself a stranger. Yes, she's a stranger to everything around her, but yet she does everything that we're supposed to do to maintain our salvation. That's why this girl was attractive in the eyes of God. That's why she was attractive. She does everything that we're supposed to do in order to maintain our salvation. And so I want you to list these in your journal, these things that this girl is doing. Number one, we said she was what?
Following.
She's following.
Following.
She's following. Okay, because I didn't list these.
She's following.
Number one, she's following.
Hmm.
Do we have to follow in order to maintain our salvation?
Yes.
Yes, we have to follow God. What was the second thing we saw her doing?
She's working.
Working.
She is working. People don't realize that salvation, you have to work in order to maintain your salvation. There's a work. That's why Paul told Timothy, study to show yourself approved, a workman. So we have to work. Salvation is work. What was number 3? What was the third thing we said she was doing?
Praying.
Finding.
Oh, finding.
She was finding. Remember, she was finding. What was she looking for? And she was finding it. Every time she looked for it, she found it. What was she looking for?
Grace.
She was looking for grace. And that's what you have to do. You got to get up every day and look for grace. Because what does God tell us about his grace? He said his grace is what?
Sufficient.
It's sufficient. But you got to find it. His grace is sufficient, but you got to find it. Do you all see how everything she is doing is pointing towards salvation? Everything. That's why I wanted you all to pull all this stuff up off the page, because you will never find this. You will never see this if you just read through this book. This girl's life spoke salvation. Her life spoke redemption in a quiet and subtle way. This girl she's painting a portrait of our salvation.
Miss B,
Uh-huh.
can I say one more thing? In verse 2, where she said, I found faith. She was talking in faith. She said, let me go in the field and I will find favor. That sounds like she's speaking in faith to me.
Yes, she's speaking in faith.
Yeah.
So we can say that she finds grace and she speaks faith. I'll take that, Jeanette. She speaks faith. She does. Because she says she'll go in the field and she'll glean the ears of corn. She didn't say she might find some. She knew that there was going to be corn there was going to be corn left for her. She knew that the reapers were going to leave some corn for her. So that's her faith. So we said she's following, she's working, she's finding, and we can say that she's faithful. I will say she's faithful.
Yeah.
Number 5, we see that what did we find? That she's praying.
Mm-hmm.
That she has a prayer life. That she's praying. I'm writing these down. You need to write these down, because all of these are salvation. These are our salvation things that we need to be doing to maintain our salvation. That's what I'll say. We need to do everything that Ruth does to maintain our salvation, because at the end of the deal, she gets redemption. All right. So we see she's praying. And then when we get to verse 10, what do we find her doing?
Worshiping.
She's worshiping. She is worshiping. Look what it says. She fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said, again, why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou should take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? Ruth knows how to find grace. She knows how to find it. So I got 6 things. Does anybody have, what's your list? What's your list looking like? I have 6 things that she's doing that points toward our salvation. Anybody got anything other than 6?
I have
following,
5. I have following, serving, worshiping, and being a friend. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so somebody says she's serving. She is serving. So I'm going to put that one. She's serving. She's serving. What were the other ones you had?
I said and being a friend. I said following, serving, worshiping, and being a friend.
Okay, so she's friendly.
Yeah.
Let's put she's friendly. And that's a good characteristic for salvation, because God is our friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's
God is
like
our
she
friend.
has all the
Do
fruits
you
of the
agree?
spirit.
God is our friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at this point, I have 8. I have she's following, she's working, she's finding, she's faithful, she's praying, she's worshiping, she's serving, and she's friendly. That's 8. That's 8. All right. Now, where's the other statement? Where's the next statement found that Ruth talks? Let me go back to my notes. Where's she talking again?
Verse 13.
Verse 13. Okay, verse 13. She says, then she said, let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord. Now listen what she's doing with this term, my Lord. Who else was called my Lord by a woman?
Abraham.
Abraham. Y'all remember when Sarah
called him
called
Lord.
Abraham Lord? Y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's find that. Let's go back there. Let's find that. Okay, now I haven't looked this up, so we're gonna have to find this. I didn't look, but it just kind of came to me. So let's find that, where Sarah called Abraham Lord. If you find it, let me know. Y'all, this is work. We're doing some work tonight. I know this is but we're doing some work tonight. We got to pull out these salvation characteristics.
It's in 1 Peter 3:6.
1 Peter, let's run over there. 1 Peter 3:6.
3:6.
1 Peter 3:6. Well, okay, 1 Peter 3:6. Okay. And let's see what happens here. And I think first, but there's another portion of scripture that she does it as well. 1 Peter 3:6. It says, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham. So what is she showing as she's calling Boaz Lord? Because this verse tells us what she is trying to display.
Well,
What is she trying to display to Boaz, just as Sarah is doing that to Abraham? What is she trying to display? Not only is she faithful, but she's what?
I
Do
say
y'all see
humble.
it? Verse 6.
Humble.
Respectful.
Look at First Peter chapter number 3, verse 6. It's right in there. And this is what she's trying to
obedient.
show.
Obedient.
Yeah.
Trying to
Obedient.
show
Being
obedience.
obedient.
Obedient.
Yes, she is trying to show that I'm an obedient woman. So she calls him my Lord. She's trying to let him know that she is an obedient woman. Look at what it says in verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. So anytime a woman calls her husband Lord, she is trying to show her obedience. And that's what Ruth is trying to do with Boaz. She's trying to show Boaz, I'm a woman of obedience. So that's number 9 for me.
So it's also in
Obedience.
Genesis 18.
Y'all got that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So she says, let me find favor in thy sight. So now not only is she good at finding grace, she now is good at finding what? What else?
Favor.
She can find favor. This girl knows how to find favor. Most people can find favor. They can recognize favor. I got the favor of the Lord on my life. What about the grace of God on your life? You got favor. Because see, favor will get you something. Grace will get God something. See, you look for what will get you something. But how about looking for what will get God something? That's why the Bible said when Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, Noah found grace. And when God asked Noah to do something, the grace made him do it. Remember what God asked Noah to do? He asked Noah to build an ark. And because Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, he was obedient to what God asked him to do. So this girl right now is pointing towards salvation, and she's bypassed the fruits. She is way out here. She is in covenant land. She's doing things, she's finding things that will make a covenant relationship, because that's what she wants to have with Boaz. She wants to have, she's saying to Boaz, if you be good to me, I'll be good to you. That's covenant, y'all. Covenant is a binding agreement between two people. It's a binding agreement. Covenant is that thing we do when we get married. You love me, I'll love you. You take me, you take care of me, I'll take, and only death will pull us apart from doing this. That's what Naomi is establishing. When y'all, it was so important for us to look at her words. It's so important because it attracted God that she got a book written after her. Look at what she says. She says in verse 13, then she said, let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for thou hast comforted me, and for that thou hast spoken. And that one is written. That is the worst thing that could have happened to me. When it tore that Bible in, when I tore that page in the front, it tore it in the back also. So somebody fix that for me. Because I didn't go and write that. Okay, are y'all there?
Then she
Yeah.
said, let me make sure I'm not on mute. Then she said, let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for that thou hast comforted me, and for that thou hast spoken friendly unto thine handmaid, though I be not like unto one of thine handmaidens.
Handmaid. So now notice what she does also. She changes her name. She doesn't wait on Boaz to change. Do y'all see how she changed her name? Because it keeps saying, we see her as Ruth the Moabitess. We see her as
now she
the
handmaid.
daughter.
Now she
Okay.
handmaid.
Now she handmaid. Okay.
Now she's the handmaiden.
Oh wow. Okay. Didn't see that.
And who gives her that name? She gives that name to
Herself.
She gives it to, and when you
Herself.
tell somebody that you're going to be their handmaiden, what are you saying to that person?
You're gonna be
You're
their
gonna take care of.
You're
gonna take
be
care
their
of them.
servant.
I'm gonna take care of you.
Right.
I'm gonna serve you.
I'm going to be your hand. Y'all,
That's
she
right.
is saying,
Mm-hmm.
my hands are going to be your maid.
Right.
Mhm.
Do y'all see what she's doing?
She
That's
changed
right.
She
something. Yeah, I can
says,
see that.
my hands will be your maid. When a maid comes into your house, you know what you looking to see after that she's working. And if she ain't doing this, you're going to say, that ain't no good maid. If she comes into your house and you want to know that she's doing good work, you will watch what she does with her hands. And that proves that she's a good handmaiden. Whenever a maid comes in your house and she is not moving her hands, what are you going to do with her?
Let her go.
I'm gonna let you go because you don't know how to work your hand. So what Ruth is telling Boaz is, whenever you see me, I'm gonna be working my hands.
Mm-hmm.
She's telling y'all, she listen, this girl is way beyond virtuous. You know, because eventually, remember now, y'all remember remember what Judah called Tamar?
Righteous.
Righteous.
What is
Right.
Boaz, if you would have did your homework, what is Boaz eventually gonna call Ruth?
Oh, it's in this. I know.
Uh-oh, it was
Okay.
there.
Virtuous woman.
Virtuous.
He's
Virtuous.
going to call
Okay.
her
We're gonna
virtuous.
call it virtuous.
He's gonna call her
We're gonna call
virtuous.
it virtuous.
Yes, he
Oh,
is. He is going to, because she
We're
has
gonna call her.
all the characteristics
Oh
of
yeah.
a virtuous woman.
He's sure gonna call her.
And he's gonna call her
He's
that.
gonna call her virtuous.
And she is building her case right now. She is building her case right now. So number 11 is she's a handmaiden. And she called herself that. So watch this virtuous woman. She follows, she works, she finds grace, she's faithful, she prays, she worships, she serves, she's friendly, she's obedient, she finds favor. Who wouldn't marry this woman?
And can I add one more thing? Can I add one more thing that I see?
Okay,
She's patient with herself.
she's patient.
With herself. With herself.
That's good.
With
That's
herself.
good.
With herself.
And let me ask you, at this point we got 12 because Georgina says she's patient with herself. If you had to go down this list and put a check for yourself, where you at?
My God, my God, my God, my God. Jesus.
Where are you?
Jesus.
Are you following?
Come on now.
Are you working? Are you finding grace? Are you just finding stuff in the world? Because when you look for grace, you got to be in your Bible and in a word to find that. You got to be able to, because the only way we can look in the eyes of God is if we're looking in his word. And he told us that grace was sufficient. You know what most people did when God said, my grace is sufficient? They took that as God saying, whatever you need, I'll give it to you. You know, when God talks about his grace being sufficient, he's saying, my word is good enough for y'all. I got enough word. When you go to my word, you're going to find grace and it's going to be sufficient. That's how you find grace. She finds grace. She is faithful. She shows up for work. She does. She is faithful. We see her praying and worshiping and serving and friendly, obedient and favor. She's a handmaiden and she's patient. Put your checks by that. Where you at? Can you stand next to this woman? Can you stand next to Ruth?
She's a Proverbs 31 woman.
She is a proverb. She all of Proverbs 31. And Boaz is going to tell her that.
Yep.
He's going to tell her that. That's why, y'all, I understand. This is a little bit of labor we got to do tonight. But this is homework because, y'all, we got to look like this. At the end of the day, we got to try to look like this. We got to try to look like this. All right, so now I'm out of these raggedy pages of my Bible. All right, let me go back to my notes. Where are we at now? Where's her next statement? Where's her next statement?
19.
19?
What chapter?
Okay, she does make a statement in verse 19. Let's read this. Now watch what she says, and we'll see what she's doing. And her mother-in-law said unto her, where hast thou gleaned today? Because she knows she was working. She said, where did you glean today? And where wast thou? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought and said, the man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz. What does that tell you about Ruth when she makes that statement? I'm gonna let you think on that one. What does that tell you about Ruth when she makes that statement? Because Naomi asked her, where did you go to work today? She said, where did you glean? And what and where wroughtest thou? Blessed be he that takes knowledge. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought and said, the man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz. What do you see in this statement? What do you see? What was she able to do? What did she what is she showing Naomi?
Faithfulness, truth,
Huh?
truth. Because Naomi told her to go, pretty much to stay in the field, in his field.
Obedience?
Yeah, well, we said obedience already.
Oh,
When it says, and she showed her mother-in-law, did y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
What is she showing her mother-in-law? What is she showing her? What
That
is
she
she
got
showing?
favor.
Huh?
That she got favor in the field.
Reliable.
she's showing her
She's a-
mother-in-law faith. That she has faith in what her mother-in-law said.
Mm-hmm. But I'm asking, is she showing her anything tangible?
She's showing her the fruit
She's
that she has
showing her
got.
the
fruit of
fruit
her
that she
labor.
brought.
She's showing her the fruit of her labor. That means, what did Naomi do this day to
She
prove
went
that
to,
she got Boaz where she wanted? What did she do this day?
she went to work.
She went to work, but when she went to work,
She
it
brought
says,
home
now
something.
watch what it says. Now, if I'm wrong on this, y'all help me. Watch, let's read this verse again.
Which
And her mother-in-law said unto her, where did you glean?
in the field.
And when she says, wroughtest thou, what is she asking her?
What did you bring
work?
home? What you bring
Being
home with you?
Work.
What did you bring home? What did you? And she says, blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And then it says, and she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought. She shows her Boaz. She points and said, the man's name with whom I work today is Boaz. So so what is she doing in this statement? She
Showing her
is,
that she's a hard worker. She's
huh?
For the kinsman redeemer.
She's doing what?
She's letting her know that she worked for the kinsman of her.
She's showing her mother-in-law that she has worked for Boaz, that basically, when a mother-in-law asks her, where hast thou gleaned today, and where wroughtest thou? See, that's where I want to pick up. I want to look at that. And when she asked her, where wroughtest thou? What is your Bible? Does anybody have a NIV?
Yeah, mine says, where did you work?
Where did you work?
Where did you work? Yeah. And her mother-in-law said to her, where did you glean today and where did you work?
And then read the rest of it. What does it say?
May he who took notice of you be blessed. So she said to her mother, whom she had worked, and said, the man's name is Boaz, whom I work today. So she used the word work in there like 3 times.
Okay, so basically, she's letting her mother-in-law know that she had worked. All right, so at this point, she's still proving that she's working, and she knows the man's name for who
No,
she's working for. She said, the man's name with whom I'm working for today is Boaz. So what is she doing at this point? She's letting Naomi know, I'm working, but I am working now not to just glean, but I'm working for Boaz. See, she said, I work today. The man who I work for is Boaz. She's letting Naomi know, I'm going to work and I'm gleaning the field, but I'm also working for Boaz. I am working to get Boaz. I am working because she says, I'm trying to get his attention. I want him to take knowledge. And she says, blessed be he that took knowledge of thee. At this point, Naomi said, I'm working for two things now. I'm working to glean and get in the field, but I'm also working to get Boaz. Now, so at this point, I want to be careful with this text to say, she working for two things. She working for food and she working for a man. And you have to ask yourself, is that wrong? No.
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 Ms.
There is nothing
B.
wrong for her to work and try to get Boaz. She is gleaning. She's gleaning for two things. She's gleaning for the field and she's gleaning for a man. This is a smart woman.
So she realized that Bo was a nice, kind man to her. So she took interest in that.
Yeah, she's taking interest in that. He's being nice, and she's taking interest in that. She's
He's kind and protective, and he's protective of her. So she's taking interest in him protecting
and he's
her.
providing for her.
Yes.
He's providing for her, and that's what she needs. Whenever you go for a man, you need to go for a man that can protect and provide. And that's what she is doing. She is doing that. She is looking for. So at this point, I want to say this. She's looking for provision and she's looking for protection. That's what she's looking for. She's looking for provision and protection. She's looking for the man. So for provision and protection. All right. Again, we're just pulling out. We're pulling it all out. We got to read it to pull it out. And we'll take our time to do this because this what got us in trouble because we didn't look for this. We didn't look for this. All right. And now we on our knees asking God to help us. Because we wasn't following nobody. We wasn't following Jesus. We wasn't working for Jesus. We wasn't looking for grace. We couldn't be faithful. We were not praying. We were not worshiping. And so now when we get what we think we got and there's no provision and no protection, we ask God why. All right. So we looked at that one. Now, let me go back to what's the next statement? I know this takes time, but we're going to do this. What's the next statement?
Is it 21?
21.
Yeah.
21?
21.
Okay, let's go there. 21 says, all right, I got that one in my notes. It says, and Ruth the Moabitess said, he said also unto me, thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest. Boaz is telling her to stay with the young man and until you get what you're supposed to get, until they have ended their day and you have gotten that is his provision for her. You see that? Do y'all agree? She is repeating what Boaz said to her. She's repeating what Boaz says. He said unto me, you see what she's saying? He said unto me, you keep fast by my young men until they have ended all the harvest.
Would that be protection too?
That would be protection. That's provision and protection.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted the young men to watch over her, to make sure she was okay. And then he also was using these young men to make sure she got the provision she needed. So that's provision and protection. And she's just repeating to her mother-in-law what he said. She's repeating. All right. So that's not the last statement. Where's the next statement? I'm kind of all over the place because I'm trying to do my notes and then I'm trying to work with you all. What's the next statement? This is a little complicated, but we're gonna get through this.
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3. All right.
Verse 9.
Verse 5.
Verse 5.
Verse 5. Okay, I missed that one.
Okay, verse 5. Okay,
That's my favorite.
Okay, I missed that one too.
Oh man, I missed that one.
Okay, I missed that one. All right, so
No,
let's
B, you know
repeat
that
it.
one. That's our favorite.
Uh-huh.
That's our
So
favorite,
verse
Miss
5
B.
says, now this is after Naomi tells her to wash herself, anoint herself, put on her clothes. In verse 3, that's what Naomi tells her to do. Then when we get to verse 4, it says, and it shall be when he lies down that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, all that thou art saying unto me, I will do. What is she displaying again?
Obedience.
Obedience.
Obedience, not only to Boaz, but obedience to who?
Naomi.
To Naomi.
Naomi.
To Naomi. She is showing obedience to both Naomi and to Boaz. And that's a sign of obedience. She's showing obedience to a man and to a woman. Because for some of us, it's easy for us to be obedient to a man, but we don't like showing obedience to women. And she is showing this obedience to her mother-in-law. And again, that's one of her characteristics is her obedience. So she's obedient. So because verse 6 says she went down unto the floor and did all, look what it says, did according to all that her mother-in-law bade her to do. She does everything her mother-in-law does. That is her obedience. That is a beautiful thing to see a daughter-in-law. Let me ask you, does anybody have that kind of obedience to their mother-in-law? You know what? You don't have to answer that question.
I don't have no mother-in-law.
I don't either. I don't have one either.
I don't have one.
Yeah. I don't know that I have that kind of obedience toward my mother-in-law. All right, so that's 3 and 6. So where are we at now?
What about 9? Is 9 next?
9? Okay, let's go to 9.
Yeah, 9 is the next one.
Yeah, 9 is next. And he said, who art thou? And she answered, I am. Notice how she is going to answer this question when I ask her who she is. Y'all, this is bold.
It is.
Now we have to say she's bold. And are we called to be bold?
That is bold now.
Yeah. Are we called to be bold? God tells us to be bold. He says, come boldly where?
Boldly to the throne of grace.
Before the throne. And here is Ruth coming boldly. She's coming boldly. Watch what she says. And he said, who art thou? Verse 9. And she answered, I am Ruth, not the Moabitess, not the daughter-in-law of Naomi, not the wife of Mahlon. Guess what she said?
Handmaid.
She said, I'm
your handmaid. Your handmaid.
She said, I am thine handmaid. Yo. Oh God, I gotta calm myself down. This girl this is a Moabite woman who has never, let me tell you about this Moabite woman. This woman has never sung in a choir. She's never read a Bible. She's never gone to a Joyce Meyer women's conference. Never gone. She has never been to Miss B's Bible study. She's never been to this Bible study. And look at the characteristics this woman has without a Bible, without a conference, with never put on a pretty skirt and went to church. She put on some clothes to go glean in a field. And is she making us look a little bad, y'all? I would say we could learn a lot from this girl. She said, I am not Ruth the Moabitess. I am thine handmaid. That's what she said. Spread and then watch what she tells them to do. Spread therefore thy skirt. She said, take your skirt and put it over me.
Protection again.
Yeah, that is
Protection again.
protection again. You're right.
Protection. Protection. She says, put your skirt over thine handmaiden. And then she tells him, she says, now I done told you who I am. Let me tell you who you are.
Who you are. Yeah.
She's bold. She's bold.
Yeah, that's
She's
bold. That's
bold.
bold.
She's
Yeah,
bold.
she is.
She's bold. She says, thou art a near kinsman.
Mhm.
She is bold. She is bold. This the kind of girl you want to hang out with. This the kind of girl you want to be your girlfriend. She is bold. She is bold. All right, let's finish this. Let's finish this because I got a few things we want to talk about. Let's finish this. Where's our next statement from her?
Verse 17. 17.
16,
17.
17.
All right,
End of 16.
16.
16,
16.
17.
16, 17.
Yeah.
The end of 16.
Oh, now I love this. I love this because now, okay, watch this. Is it 17?
16.
Oh, that's 16.
16 and 17.
All right, let's read 16. All right, here we go, y'all. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, who art thou, my daughter? And she told her all that the man had done to her. All that the man, notice now, she says, she told her all that the man had done for her.
Or
To her.
to her. To
To her.
What did Boaz do to her?
That's a good question.
Because 2 and 4 are two different
Two
words.
different
They sure
things.
are. They sure are.
2 and if I say you did this to me, that's different than me saying you did this
Did
for
that
me.
for
That's why I
me.
said, yo, this gonna get good. What is she telling?
Talking about.
What? Okay, I mean, 2 and 4 are different words.
He talking about the food he gave her, the barley.
And remember now,
What you
and
talking
remember, we just talked about some skirts. Okay, now I need y'all to tell me if I'm wrong. Y'all got, because I don't want to do my sister bad. I don't. Y'all got to tell me if that 2 and 4 is different.
Go up to 15. Go read verse 15.
Okay, 15. Okay, watch this. Also, he said, bring the veil that thou hast upon thee and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 measures of barley and laid it on her, and she went into the city. And when she came to, okay, so could that be what she's talking about?
I hope we know.
Yes,
I always hope
if you
so.
go before, go up a couple verses before.
Huh?
Go
Well,
a
see,
couple
and
verses before.
that's why,
Verse 14.
and let
Verse
me just go
14.
back and correct myself. That's why content and context is important.
Mhm.
Because I said y'all 4 and 2 is different, and I wanted to know what he done to her. So what he did to her was he measured the 6 measures of barley And the to her was he laid it on her.
He laid it on her.
He laid it on her.
Yeah.
He took the barley and he laid it on her. And then she went into the city. I'm so glad that it said he laid it on her. And I'm so glad that the barley is there. Because that puts it in context.
No.
All right. So at this point, and when she came to her mother-in-law, who art thou? She told her all that the man. So at this point, we can say that Naomi is that Ruth is what? She's not hiding anything. She's letting Naomi know exactly what Boaz is doing for her. So her and her mother-in-law have what do you say? What would you say? She knows how to communicate.
Yeah,
And communication is a good skill for a Christian because that means she knows how to talk. She's not hiding anything from her mother-in-law. She's telling her mother-in-law exactly what is going on with her and Boaz. She is not hiding anything. All right. We're in chapter number 4. We're almost there. We're in chapter number 4. And so where does she speak in chapter number 4? Let me look at my notes.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything.
It's just Boaz and the kinsmen. I mean,
So she doesn't speak.
The village people. She
So
doesn't.
she doesn't speak in chapter number 4, right?
Right.
Nope.
All right. So now let's run over real quick. This is how we're gonna end this. Run over real quick to Proverbs 31. We can't leave her with,
Wait, you missed 17.
huh?
Just did 17.
17. Verse 17, you missed it.
Oh, did I?
Chapter 3.
The part that says, go not empty-handed.
Oh, right, to the mother-in-law.
Oh, yeah, that's what, and I wanted to speak on that too. Thank you. I'm good. Now watch this. And she said, 6 measures of barley gave he me, for he said to me, go not empty unto thy mother-in-law.
And then 18.
Yeah, then 18.
And then said she, sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall.
That's
For the
Naomi.
man
But that's
will
not
not.
Naomi.
But that's
That's
Naomi
Naomi.
speaking.
That's
Yeah,
Naomi
that's
talking.
speaking.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
That's
that's
Naomi
Naomi.
talking.
Yeah,
Right.
that's Naomi talking. But now, do y'all see him speaking to Mara? Do you see Boaz speaking to Mara? Y'all remember Mara?
Yeah.
Naomi came out of Moab
Oh, okay, yeah.
and said, don't call me bitter,
Right.
Mara.
call me Mara, because I went in full and I've come out what?
Empty.
Empty.
And guess what Boaz said? Boaz says, when you go in, have your hands full.
Full.
He says, go not empty into your mother-in-law. In other words, kill the spirit of Mara in her life
Right.
so that
That's
she
good.
will never say, I'm empty again. You see that?
Yes.
Yeah, because they were
Boaz is
sleeping all
killing that.
night. She didn't get to glean at all because she was sleeping all night in his feet. So he's like, don't go back up empty. Even though you stayed here all night sleeping in my feet, you weren't able to glean or do nothing. But he knew that Naomi was the one that was showing her all this. So he's like, go back and give her this gift because I know what she did for her and him.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So now she goes back, and I love that you said she was sleeping and wasn't able to work. Even when, and isn't that a good man that even when you sleep, he is saying, I'm gonna take care of you, girl. You don't have to work all the time.
And also,
Even
Miss
when you
V,
sleeping, I got you.
also
Ooh.
Miss V, he was also looking out for her character because he was telling her to go before anybody else know that she was at the floor.
Yeah.
In verse 14,
Yeah.
he said, let it not be known that a woman came into the floor. So he was looking out for her. You know, he was looking out for her character. He didn't want anybody to
Reputation.
see her coming
Yes.
out of there, out of his place.
Yes, she was looking
Wow,
for her
that's awesome.
reputation.
Yeah, that's good because the word would have got round that she was
Right.
sleeping at his feet.
Right.
And then it would have been said, it would have been said that the way she is getting what she's getting from him is because she's
spending the
sleeping at
night
his
with him.
feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So-
that was the last time she ever had to glean. After he
Wow,
gave her
yeah,
that, she
no
never
more.
have to worry
She ain't
about
got to
that
clean
ever
no more.
again.
You gotta clean them.
Yep. That was the final blessing and favor.
Ah, that was
wow.
good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Once
awesome,
redeemed,
awesome.
always redeemed.
She was always redeemed. Now let's go over to Proverbs 31 right quick. I want us to look at this real quick, and then we're gonna get out of this. But and I hope this, y'all, I know this was a little tedious for us
But
tonight.
this was good. I
It was
enjoyed it. That was fun. That was fun now.
I mean, and some things we just got to do. It can't always just be, ripping through it. Some things we got to slow down and pay attention to. All right, so we're going to go to Proverbs 31. Now, I want to start at verse 10. I want to start at verse 10. Look at what it says. Because what you got to understand about virtue, I wrote this down and I want to go back to my notes. Where did I write that? Where did I write it? Let me find favor. Oh, okay, where did I write that? Oh, when you come to the bondage, the first thing change the vision.
When you look at that, Miss B, I also looked up the word virtuous, and it says to seek to comfort to what is morally right, not just what society believes is right. And that ties up to what you were saying about Noah.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I was saying that when you look up the word virtuous, it says seek to comfort to what is morally right, like to do what's morally right, not just what society believes is right.
Yes.
And that ties up what you were saying about Noah. Like he looked up to God. He didn't worry about all these people and what they were doing around him. He was doing the right thing.
He was doing
And
the
that's
right
what a
thing.
virtuous woman does. She does the right thing, not what society believes that is right.
Yes. Yes, that's good. That's good, Angel. Thank you so much for that. Here's what I wrote. You have to understand that we look at virtue when we say a virtuous woman. We look at a virtuous woman. Sometimes people look at a virtuous woman thinking she's a woman with a lot of money or a woman with class.
Mhm.
Your virtue is your reputation.
Yeah.
What people know about you.
Mhm.
And now we have looked at Ruth's you know what we really studied? We studied her reputation, and her reputation looked like salvation.
Mhm.
Her virtue was her reputation. And so when we look at Proverbs 10, she fits the bill. It says, who can find a virtuous woman? Her price is far above rubies. And the reason why her price is far above rubies is because of what we found. We found rubies tonight. We found a woman that will follow. That's a ruby. We found a woman that works. That's what, a lot of women, even though they work in their homes, I don't care what you're doing. If you got two hands, you should be working inside your home or outside. I don't get these women that don't do anything with their hands. God created us to be a help, and help is me working, helping somebody. When somebody tells you they need help, they tell you they need work.
Miss B.
That's what work is. Help is work. That I'm doing something and I need you to work with me to do what I'm doing. She was good at finding grace. Watch what it says. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her so that he should have no need of spoil. Did you see Boaz's heart trusting Naomi? We saw that, didn't we?
Miss B. Her thinking and her behavior was always consistent, always, all the way through the book of Ruth. It's all her thinking and behavior was in consistency.
It was. It
So
was.
that's
It was. She never changed.
She never changed.
She never changed. She never changed. Watch this. It says in Proverbs 31, she seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her what?
Hands.
She works with her hands, y'all. That's why she said, I am thine handmaiden. She said, I'm not your body maiden, I'm your handmaiden. Because some women show up just to be men's body maidens. The difference. It's a difference. It's a difference, y'all. If you work in your hands or you work in your body. Most women go in a relationship and all they stay on is their backs. I know that's a little hard to say, but if you on your back all the time,
Sorry.
and you working your back and your hands ain't doing nothing, you need to be a handmaiden. See, this is the kind of stuff that we need to bring young women to and teach them. That girl, you got to work your hands. Because Ruth said, and we almost thought she worked her back, didn't we?
We were looking at
We almost did in. Ruby said, hold up.
Oh no.
Hold up. Let's go to that top verse. Let's go content and context. We almost put her there, didn't we?
Yeah, I was finna send her to Rahab.
I know, right?
What you say, Ruby?
Yeah, I was sending her to Rahab.
We almost sent her to Rahab house. We did. We almost did that.
I want to say too, Ruth showed commitment.
Yes.
She showed commitment.
She showed commitment. She really did.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Now look at what it says here in verse 14. She is like the merchant ship. She brings food from afar. Who can attest that she did that?
Sure did. She sure did.
Naomi would say, yes, she did. She did. She did. Now watch this. She rises also while it is yet night and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maid. She gave a portion to her mother.
That's being resourceful too.
Yes, being very resourceful. And y'all, it is 8:38 and we can't finish Proverbs, but she fits the bill. She fits the bill. And that's what I love, because sometimes Ruth's story gets overshadowed by Boaz. Most people just keeps talking about Boaz and talking. Most women talk about Boaz. But honey, if you could be a Ruth, you wouldn't have to look for no Boaz. He would come to you. Boaz found Ruth in the field.
Working.
Yep, he found her.
Working.
Yep.
Boaz found Ruth. See, most women talk about, I got to find my Boaz. No, you ain't.
Right.
Boaz will find you if you're in the right place.
Right. That's good. That's
Miss
good.
B.
Doing the right thing.
Miss
And
B.
doing the right thing.
Miss B, can I say
wife.
something?
There was somebody that wanted to say something.
Yeah. Miss B, this is Pam. Also in chapter 4 of Ruth, it says that she is compared to Rachel and Leah in the 11th verse 4.
Oh yeah. Let's go. Okay, let's go back there. We didn't read it all.
Yeah, we didn't get to 4 at all.
We didn't.
Yeah, we
Y'all,
did.
I think you know what I really want to do next week with this. I won't be here next week. Here's what I want you to do for next week, because there will be no Bible study next week. Y'all know next week is the Masters.
Right.
So there will be nobody. I want you to read this story over again and just put the words of this story on your heart. Because we didn't read it. We read it in pieces, bits and pieces. And now that's what it says.
And Miss B, can I say one thing? One thing, when you said that, when was the last time we've been chosen? Ruth was chosen. When was the last time can we think we've been chosen? We always doing the choosing, but she was chosen.
Yeah.
Most of the time we're the one doing the choosing. The woman is the one doing the choosing, but she really was chosen.
Yeah, she was choosing, but she was chosen. That's good.
Choosing, but she was chosen.
She was choosing, but she was chosen. Where is it that Rachel and Leah?
It's in the 4th chapter.
The last
near the
near the
end.
11th verse. 11th verse.
Okay.
When she was compared to Rachel and Leah.
Oh, watch this. And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses. The Lord make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephrathite. Is that, what is that? Effort? Oh, effort. And be famous in Bethlehem. So yeah, she's compared to Rachel and Leah because she built the house of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. I don't know whether you all have enjoyed this.
I did.
I
I
have
did.
truly.
I
I know
have.
it got, tonight was a
Yeah.
little tedious for us. And I wanted it to be because I want us to think about our lives and where we are. And are we handmaidens? Are we using our hands? Are we handmaidens for the Lord? Can the Lord say of you, you are mine handmaiden? And can you say that back to him? That, Lord, I am serving, I am worshiping, I am praying, I am being faithful, I am working, I am following you, I'm being patient for your provision and your protection. I'm bold
Mm.
and I communicate with you, I talk to you. She shows us, she gives us a roadmap to our salvation. And I love that. I love this. I will never, ever forget this study. I will never forget it because you know what? I really know the true meaning now of the kinsman redeemer.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the real meaning of thine handmaiden.
Mm-hmm.
See, because we all
Miss
want to
B.
take them fancy titles. Everybody want a fancy title. We want to be evangelist so-and-so and prophet. So what about thine handmaiden?
Being a handmaid, just being a
Miss
worker.
B, let me tell you that I was looking up the definition of handmaid, and it says a servant or woman in a subordinate position.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be subordinate position. That's how she was. She was her humility
Humble.
showed through everything that she said and her loyalty.
Humble.
Let's be the Lord's handmaiden. I am your daughter. I am thine handmaiden, Lord. That's what I am. I am your handmaiden. I got to add that to my prayer life because I don't ever think I told the Lord that. I don't
Me
ever
either.
think I told the Lord that I'm your handmaiden. I got to tell God that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell him that. So I am adding that to my prayer life because that is a humble
Amen.
statement
Good.
to say to a man that I'm and guess what? I'm only telling the Lord that.
Amen.
You do with that what you want to do.
Amen.
You do whatever you want to do with that. I'm telling you what I'm gonna do. No, seriously though. But I do need to add that to my prayer life. That Lord, I am your handmaiden. And then I'm gonna add all these things that I saw in Ruth and ask God to, am I following you the way you want me to follow you? Am I working? And am I finding grace? Am I looking for grace? Or am I just looking for favor? Because I want to look for both. I want to look for grace and I want to look. Am I praying enough for you? Am I worshiping? Am I serving you? And am I friendly to you? Do you find me friendly, God? Would you be my friend? And am I obedient to you, God? And am I bold enough for you? And do we have good communication? All that's important, y'all. I love it. I love it. I got it all in my journal. Everything she said, I got to go back because I got to fix some stuff because my pages in my Bible tore and I couldn't. I just kind of jumped over some stuff. That's why I had y'all read tonight. Y'all know next week is the Masters. And so we're going to take a break. We're going to shut the door to Ruth. I feel like we need to read it again on our own personal time because there was a lot of stuff that we just haven't covered, but y'all will be here forever. We got to, now let me tell you where we've been. I'll tell you where we've been and I'm going to tell you where we're going. We done been on the side of the road with Tamar. Yes, we done been within those city gates, the walls of the city gates of Jericho. We were there. Saw those two little spies come through the door. We were there. We have been in the field in Bethlehem, gleaning in the field. It's hot. It is hot. And because it is hot, we are going to get naked before God. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to take us a bath. Didn't Naomi tell Ruth to wash herself? And where is Bathsheba? On the rooftop.
Top of the roof.
Taking a bath naked and get spotted by David. It's time to wash ourselves. Didn't Naomi tell Ruth that?
Mhm.
Well, guess what? We going on the rooftop. We got to take a bath. And guess what? We're going to be spotted because in order to take a bath, you're going to have to take your clothes off.
Mm.
Now, I'm just talking. And y'all know I'm just talking. But here is a woman who is taking a bath on the rooftop of a house. And she's going to be noticed by King David. And this story falls within the lineage of Jesus. And Bathsheba is the next woman that we're going to talk about. We're going to have, and it starts in 2 Samuel. So to get started, next week, I want you to just reread the 4 chapters of the book of Ruth. And then I want you to go to 2 Samuel chapter 11 and 12. You got 2 chapters. 2 Samuel chapter 11 and 12. We're going to read those 2 chapters. And then we're going on the rooftop of a house. And we got to talk about Jesus on that rooftop. Because remember what Jesus said in John chapter number, 5? These are they that testify of me.
Miss
We
B,
got to see how this testimony going to come out about Jesus. We
you
going
said
to
2
Bathsheba's
Samuel?
house.
You said 2 Samuel?
2 Samuel chapter 11 and 12.
Okay.
That's your homework before I see you again. Because guess what? We have to close the doors to Ruth. Because I think we found our kinsman redeemer and our handmaiden. And so now we're going to go to Bathsheba's house. She's on the rooftop taking a bath. And we're going to go there. So no Bible study next week. We are going to be everybody's going to be participating in the masters. And we'll come back the week after. And we're going to 2 Samuel chapter number 11. All right? Is that good with everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Nikki Lottie and Normal Danzy and Tanya Mayfield, we're going to have to help them get on Zoom. Okay, let me ask you this. How did the Zoom thing work? Are we good with the Zoom?
Yes, we're good.
We're good.
Yeah.
I can see y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that I can see you. I
Do
mean,
you
it
like
just
all
makes me
this
feel.
square view?
I'm gonna give
Huh?
up Facebook now.
I didn't hear you.
I'm gonna give up Facebook now. I'll be on Zoom.
Okay. And also, ladies, if you want to go back and watch the Bible study, if you missed the Bible study, I'm on YouTube. I need y'all to go over there and subscribe.
Okay.
I did already.
Y'all, I need y'all to subscribe. I'm not trying to make no money off YouTube. I'm trying to put the gospel out. So just go over there and subscribe. And every time, if you're out of town and if I do a Bible study and you miss it, you can go to YouTube. Also, I'm getting ready to do podcasts where I'm going to be calling in all of you and we're going to sit down. You're going to come to my house. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about Naomi. We're going to talk about Ruth. We're going to talk about Tamar. I want to do a podcast with all of you. So don't tell me this stuff about Miss B. I'm not good at talking. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. All right. I'm going to do a podcast with all of you. That's going to be the joy of my life, to sit down and say, girl, what did you get out of that? Y'all ain't feeling me.
No, ma'am.
We got to get there. We got to get there.
Love it.
What you say, Teresa?
Not by us. Let us all do it together because it's serious.
No.
together.
Listen, it's going to be good. It's only going to be 30 minutes, a 30-minute podcast, and we're just going to talk Bible. We're going to talk about how much fun it is. Y'all, this is fun.
So
I just love it.
Question, are you going to do it all together or,
No,
Okay,
individual.
individual.
I want Teresa Brinson by herself, all dressed up and cute.
No.
Oh, no,
Are
that's
we
what
going
you
to
mean.
be on camera?
On camera, yeah.
No.
I want you
You're right. I gotta be
on
cute then.
camera. We going live. We're going live
yeah.
on YouTube, and you can call all your folks in your family and say, "Girl, go watch my interview. Go watch my interview." And y'all, guess what? We're getting the gospel out there.
Yes, yeah.
We're getting the gospel. Marcia, I would love to do an Angel, Jeanette, you history girl. You know me. You got all my Annette. Listen, and here's what I'm not taking from you. I'm not taking no. You can't tell me no, because we sit here every week and we pound this Bible, and you ain't got nothing to say. Who do you think you talking to? You can't tell me no. You cannot tell me no with your cute self.
Can we do 2 by 2?
So when I ask you,
Three
and
by
move
two
it,
by
I'm
two.
telling
They
you,
went in
and
the
when I
nook in
ask
the back like that, right?
2 by 2.
That's
no,
good,
not
Ruby.
maybe I'll do two, maybe.
Yeah,
Ruby
2 by
want to do
2.
We'll
like
see.
Noah in the
Till we
ark.
get brave.
You know, in the
But when
ark.
I ask you to dress up and come to my house, all I want you to do is put on your Sunday best and come to my house. My sister has ordered me 2 beautiful chairs. We going live.
You
Oh,
ready?
so
You
you
ready, aren't
on
you?
it.
You
Uh-oh.
ready, aren't you?
You ready?
I cleaned up this whole wall for this. We're gonna make this wall beautiful. We're gonna have a beautiful backdrop. You're gonna have to come cute as you can. Don't come up in here with no cap on your head, Michelle.
Don't
come with your workout attire I had on.
No, I'm just joking.
I won't have no cap.
I know you, because let me tell you, Lachey got a red lipstick she put on. It drives me crazy. I always tell her, girl, put that red lipstick on. You got to come, you got to show up and show out for Jesus. Y'all, we have the message of the gospel, and we need to be excited about that. We need to tell people what we are learning. Look at what we learned tonight.
Never
And
seen
we
it
can
like
talk
that.
about it. We can talk
Miss
about
B,
it.
we
We're gonna
also
do
had
it. We're gonna Gail and Oprah the world. But our conversations are gonna be geared and mastered toward Jesus. We're gonna be his handmaid. We're gonna sit down and talk about what he has done in our lives, and we're gonna compare it to these women. And we have a story that needs to be told. So I'm so excited about the live broadcast that I get to do with all of y'all. It's gonna be so much
Miss
fun.
B, we're also going to continue to do like once a month in someone's house.
Oh yes, we're
Remember?
going
Yeah.
now. We won't go to anybody's house this month because of the Masters, but in May, somebody y'all better get to cleaning up because we coming over. We be coming over, and then the summer we're gonna do a boots on the ground. Y'all know I'm a little whirly. Y'all know boots on the ground. Y'all better learn that little dance. I'm
Started
trying to
learning
tell you.
that dance.
I don't know
I'm
nothing about that
learning.
dance.
I
You
got
got it,
my hands
Marcia.
up.
Yes, I
Oh,
started
But-
learning
Marcia, you
that
got to
dance.
dance.
Okay, for the ones of you that don't know it, we will teach you. We are going to have a boots
then
on
we
the
gonna do
ground
it.
party. All right, and we're
Marcia, no,
not. We're gonna have a
Marcia,
lot of fun.
no.
All right, we're gonna. So this is gonna be our year of fun. Y'all just get ready. We're gonna be doing a lot of things. I'm so excited. I am.
Miss B,
I can
that's
hardly
gonna
contain
be
myself, especially with the podcast, because this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I'm like, Lord, help these ladies and release them and get the fear out of them. God, look at how bold Ruth was tonight. She said, "I'm your handmaiden." That's what we got. We got to tell people who we are. They need to know we are women of God. We are not ashamed of the gospel. We're not ashamed to sit in front of a camera and talk about what we've learned. It's going to be beautiful. I just want to celebrate what God has done in my life with His Word. I want to talk about Tamar. I want to talk about, and see, I'm going to talk like we on the top of the roof. I'm just going to make it, I'm going to make it like that. So we're not going to just sit up here and just act like we just quoting scripture. No, we don't talk. We're going to do some girlfriend talk, and we're going to laugh, and I'm going to have a little cup of water for you when you get thirsty. You feel drink a little cup of water, give you something to drink. It's going to be nice. So that's enough of that. So be ready when I call you. And remember, you cannot tell Miss B no. Don't even try to tell me I can't talk in front of people. No, ma'am, we're not doing that.
All right, Ruby.
Boaz noticed Ruth. God gonna notice you. All right. So enough of that. We'll see you next week. Be blessed. Oh,
Be
let me
careful.
pray over what we learned tonight, and then I'll see you in the week after the Masters. Father, we just thank you tonight for your word. God, tonight we feel like we gleaned in the field. We took our time and we separated the words of Ruth, and we saw so much as far as our salvation. And we just pray, Lord, that we would live our lives and that we would live up to what this woman did for you. She displayed salvation in her ways, in her actions, in her behavior. And so, God, we just want to be good women that will show forth the fruits of him that have called us out of darkness into this marvelous light. I pray over these women and their families. I call them blessed, going in and coming out in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, we'll see y'all next week. We got the next. All right, be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Second Samuel
Bye,
chapter
everyone.
11,
Okay, bye.
and we'll see you. Bye.
Bye-bye,
night.
ladies.
Good night.